I'd like to call the meeting to order and welcome everybody to the Vergne Planning Commission September 29th, 2020 meeting at 6 p.m. Our first item of business is to approve the meeting minutes from August 25th, 2020.
Motion for approval.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Our second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It's passed. First item of business, final plat, Lake Forest Estates, Phase 7, Section A, re-subdivision of Lot 701, requested by Womble and Associates, property located at Stones River Road and Lake Forest Drive, tax map 6J, Group E, Parcel 83, C3 Neighborhood Service Zoning District, property owned by Abnon Schrieben. Mr. Logan.
Thank you. This is a request for final plat approval for Phase 7, Section A, Lot 701 of Lake Forest Estates. And this site is, total site is about 3.3 acres. And it is currently zoned C3, which is Neighborhood Service Commercial. And see on the hatched area here at the corner of Lake Forest Drive and Stones River Road, the entire corner there is zone C3, and then some of the property on the other corner is also zone C3. So C3 basically allows for limited commercial uses. It's not like C2, which is more of a fully functional commercial district. So C3 does allow minor retail, and the reason for this plat is to help prepare the site for a proposed Dollar General store, which is next on the agenda. So these two items are related and go together. Currently, you can see from the photos there, this is a large field with just grass. There is a sign for Lake Forest Estates. It's a brick entrance sign, and that is right at the corner. You can see the stop sign here in this photo. And so this is looking north up Stones River Road, but there is a brick sign here with some decorative lighting on it, and it does say Lake Forest Estates. And there's a small amount of fencing. It's not very long, but you can see the white fence here in the photo. And this plat creates two lots. The larger lot will be 1.97 acres, and the smallest lot will be 1.33 acres, which is Lot 1. And all the minimum building setback lines have been shown on the plat. And there's also a flood note that states that the property does not lie within any FEMA flood zone. And for the plat, I'm mentioning the sidewalk in the report, and usually that's covered at the site plan stage. But if the site plan does go through, then a sidewalk will be required along all the frontage of the Dollar General site. So that includes the frontage on Stones River Road and Lake Forest Drive. And there were not any technical items from last month, and so those were already taken care of before the writing of this report, and that completes the report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Logan. Any questions or comments from the board?
Move for approval as submitted.
We have a motion for approval as submitted. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
No.
All opposed?
No.
Mr. Coates? Motion passes. With that, we'll move on to the next item. Site plan, Dollar General, requested by Womble and Associates, property located at Stones River Road and Lake Forest Drive, tax map 6J, Group E, Parcel 83, C3 Neighborhood Service Zoning District, property owned by Abnon Schrieben. Mr. Logan?
Thank you. So this is site plan approval for the Dollar General store that was previously mentioned. This will be built on Lot 1 of the plat, which is about 1.33 acres. And all the other details, as far as location, are the same as the last item. So it's the same corner of Lake Forest Drive and Stones River Road, and the photos are the same for both items. So again, you can see the brick entryway sign for Lake Forest Estates and the landscaping that goes along with the sign. And again, you can see in this photo, it is a curb and gutter street today, but there's no sidewalk. It was not built with a sidewalk back when, but if the Dollar General was approved, they would install a sidewalk along all the frontage. And also still zone C3. Here's the site plan that was submitted by Womble and Associates, and you remember from the workshop, there is parking on, well, almost three sides now, parking. It is a corner lot, so they're utilizing parking areas along Stones River Road as well as Lake Forest Drive. And you probably remember from 2 weeks ago, the dumpster location, there's really only one good area for the dumpster location, and that's where they have it drawn. You try to remove those from public view as much as possible, but on the corner site, it gets harder to do that. And they are showing detention here. This would be the rear of the store, so this is a detention area that'll serve the site. The sidewalk is shown on this site plan, and they are showing some crosswalk features there across the drive. And this is it's about 9,100 square feet. So it's not quite 10,000, but there are 36 parking spaces that are being provided, where 30 are required by the ordinance. So they do have ample parking. And I believe the applicant does have some photos of other Dollar General stores that have been built by the same developer, and I know they'll probably want to speak to that. But other than that, there are no outstanding technical items, so that completes the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Logan. Is there a representative here for this item? Name and address for the record, please, sir.
Danny Womble, 40 Middleton Street, Nashville, Tennessee.
Thank you, Mr. Womble. I had a question. We are going with the brick exterior?
Yes, we had shown at the workshop meeting brick samples of other stores that have been constructed, and in the discussion with the commission members, it was pointed out to us that some of the commission members preferred the brick store that's at October Woods on O'Hickory Boulevard. So this is a copy of those photographs, and they're agreeing to do that store as requested by the commission members. Can I pass this up to you?
Absolutely, please, sir. Thank you very much. I am familiar with the location. Do we have any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, I do.
Please, Mr. Mayor.
First, apologies for not being at the workshop. We had a medical emergency here in the building that needed to be attended to. So some of this may have been covered at the workshop, but a couple of things I had some questions or concerns about. First off, that front entrance sign, that will remain or that won't remain?
It will remain. The Lake Forest subdivision sign, yes, it will remain, and the plat places an easement on that corner to where that sign can stay there and be maintained by the neighbors in the area as long as they choose to keep it. The easement will give it the right to be able to stay there.
Okay, and then looking at the landscape, I'm gonna kind of jump around L1.0. This back area where, at least at other locations I've seen, it's the section on Lake Forest Drive. I've seen other locations have a similar section like this where they kind of drop off the truck for unloading, like a trailer. If that's the case with this, is there a way that we can get away from the mulch bed edge and get some higher up buffering? That way, the neighbors across the street and driving through that area aren't going to be basically seeing a tractor trailer or just a trailer sitting there from time to time.
There would be no trailer sitting there. The deliveries will come in with a tractor trailer rig, but they will come in with the tractor and the trailer, unload, and then leave. So to my knowledge, there won't ever be trailers just parked there and left there. And the property across the street is also zoned C3 commercial. But at the workshop, we were asked to put a complete screen along the street, between the street and the parking, which we have done. And then there's also screening across the back of the lot between the property line and the dumpster. So we feel like we have done a good job of placing screening all the way around the property.
Okay, and then I also just had some concerns with the Stones River Road entrance. I know that's a 2-lane road right now. We're talking about doing some water line work through there, and I'm just wondering if this is the right spot, considering with this other parcel, is each one going to have their own entrance? Is this going to be a shared entrance for all parties going forward? That's kind of a concern because that's a well-trafficked area.
Right.
And I don't know, again, if that was even addressed.
We did touch on it, Mayor. That's how we ended up with the turning lane and moving it as far as away. I'm going to refresh our memory in regards to the shared entrance or single.
Right. Of course, nothing is being committed to on entrances on Lot 2 with this site plan. So once it's determined what's going to be done with that lot, then a site plan would come back to this commission, and then you could decide whether or not to allow additional driveways for that lot, or whether you want to make use of these driveways on Lot 1. In order to give that flexibility, the plat was set up with cross ingress egress access easements that gave Lot 2 the right to come to and use these 2 driveways on Lot 1. Also, there was a good bit of discussion about the geometry of the driveways and the location of the driveways. And we were asked, because of the traffic on Stones River Road, to add a deceleration lane or a right turn lane on Stones River Road, which we have done.
Okay, and I can see the deceleration lane. Was there any discussion, and again, pardon my absence for dealing with that, but on a left turn lane, if you're coming out of like the backside of Lake Forest or Vaughnwood or some of the newer properties and subdivisions that are back there, was there any, if people are trying to get in and there's heavy traffic, are they just going to essentially back up the road? Do we have any turn lane there at all?
Well, there was discussion about turn lanes, and we are proposing that on both driveways, that each driveway have 3 lanes to accommodate a left turn out of both driveways coming out of the Dollar General. There was no discussion about a left turn lane in Lake Forest Drive or Stones River Road. And I don't think that would be needed since we're doing the 3 lanes on each driveway and the deceleration lane. Because generally the traffic to the Dollar General is not going to be peak traffic at the time you have peak traffic on the roadway system. The traffic will be spread out throughout the day that's coming and going from the Dollar General store. So we believe this is the best design for this location.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, one of the concerns we had was Lot 2 would have another access out onto Stonesborough Road, which we don't need, it'd be too close together. And so that's one of the concerns I have. Obviously, adding the additional possibility of easement across onto lane, onto number 2 lot is beneficial, but the concern is having another road, another exit onto Stonesborough Road is very, very concerning with how busy Stonesborough Road is.
Any other questions, comments? No other questions? We'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve as submitted.
We have a motion to approve as submitted. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
No.
So we have 3 noes, Coates, Mayor, Sanders.
Mr. Garvin, if you could take a roll call, that would be great.
Very good. Roll call vote, please. Mr. Lee?
Yes. No.
No.
Yes.
I'm sorry, no.
Yes.
Motion passes. With that, we will move on to the next item. Site plan, Pool and Spa Depot, requested by Fulmer Lucas, property located at 165 Stones River Road, tax map 15M, parcel 11, C2 Highway Service Zoning District, property owned by Pool and Spa Depot. Mr. Logan?
Thank you. This is the request for site plan approval for an addition in the form of a new building at Pool and Spa Depot. They're currently located at 165 Stones River Road, and this property is zoned C2. You can see in the image here, the railroad track is in the lower part of the image, and then their existing warehouse is shown toward the rear of the property. And then the familiar building with the yellow siding, it's kind of their main entrance building, sits closer to Stones River Road. So the grassy area that's empty currently is where they're proposing to build a new facility, which would be 50,000 square feet. And they are proposing 40,000 of that would be inventory storage, and 10,000 square feet would be for retail space. And they did receive a favorable vote for the special exception at the Board of Zoning Appeals tonight, so they did receive the special exception. And so you can see in the zoning, on the zoning map, it is this, the red color where I'm pointing is the C2 commercial district. And then this photo is taken from the railroad track looking back toward Murfreesboro Road and toward their site, and you can see there's a very large grassy area currently out there, and they have this black, looks like iron fence that's runs the length of Stones River Road there for their property, and a nice fence, and it gives a nice curb appeal to the property. And it's just one more site there. You can see the yellow building at their front entrance that's out there today. The site plan shows an outdoor display area that would be close up front to Stones River Road, where they'll be able to display some of their products. And then it shows the warehouse space here. Looks like some loading docks to the far back for trucks. And then they're going to be installing this concrete surface with their parking. And you probably noticed on the plan there is a retaining wall, so there's a little bit of a difference in elevation. So they are showing a retaining wall. But the parking lot will be heavy-duty concrete, and they do have 68 parking spaces that they're proposing, and the current ordinance requires 40, so they have a lot of parking. All of the technical items from the workshop have been addressed, as well as the engineering technical items. And they did submit some architectural elevations with the resubmittal, and those are in your packet. And that shows that they're planning to use some hardy board, looks to be a blue color. For some of that, I think some of it may be also Drive It or EFS. And then the hardy board would be painted. And another applicant's got some samples that they are planning to show you tonight. So that covers everything in the report. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Logan. Do we have a representative here for this project this evening? State your name and address for the record,
Peter
gentlemen.
von Hopfgarten, 165 Stones River Road.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Jay Fulmer, 2002 Richard Jones Road.
Thank you, sir. And that's the blue, not the blue on this. It obviously didn't take in transition.
In real life, it'll match the buildings versus how it turned out on the prints.
Very good.
It's intended to just mimic the rest of the campus, and you'll see all this stone is what will be really occupying a good portion of the facade on Stones River Road. So it's prominent material in that facade. And we've got some materials of it, and we apologize we didn't have the formal materials board, but we've got, everybody knows what hardy looks like.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
And we also, I'm not sure if you would like to, hand these out or not, just given our current times, but it's an example of his display area.
Oh, I'm pleased.
It's at a different location, and so it gives you an idea of exactly. There's some signs in the back, but I know that y'all are more concerned about this pool.
Very good. Thank you, gentlemen. Questions or comments from the board?
Engineering, just to explain, obviously the difference in the top of the topo to the bottom of how you're going to handle balancing it out to keep the area usable with the displays.
So it's stair steps along the side, and it's shown in the grading plan where there are elevation changes and steps. Essentially, we've got a ramp that runs down the side, and looking at the elevations, it ends up being, it's several feet higher than the storage area, the base. So there's 9 feet between the retail component and in the storage area for all of his goods. In each of these, the pool areas drop down about, anywhere from 1 to 3 feet between them. And so with there being 5 different areas, we accommodate most of that grade as you stair step down. But there'll be an ADA access path running along the building that's a mix of ramps and landings for ADA accessibility throughout the display area, but then there'll also be some steps in between each one.
Mr. Chair.
Mayor?
Mr. Leach, question for you, and Mr. Fulmer can chime in as well. If he, I know whenever we have significant weather events, the area right across from them, over the railroad tracks, we see significant flooding there. Is this going to help at all with that, or is it just keeping it net neutral?
This site doesn't exactly, they sort of share the same drainage basin, but basically the railroad tracks act like a berm in between them. So this site will have no impact one way or the other, but overall, Mr. Fulmer's design actually, decreased the post-development flow with his pond, so there'd be no change there.
What we're also intending is, the sidewalk that's required along the road, well, that's gonna channelize and curve the water. And so right before the railroad crossing, we added an inlet that'll, pick the water up and keep it from ponding or shooting across the railroad.
Perfect, thank you.
Very nice, thank you.
Jim, I
Mr.
make a
Coates?
motion to accept as submitted.
We have a motion to accept as submitted. Do we have a second? We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
And our final item, bonds and letters of credit. Mr. Leach.
Chairman, Board, you might note that some of the maintenance bonds, of course, expired. We checked. You may note that some of the maintenance bonds that were set to expire last month have expired. All those subdivisions were in good shape, so we allowed that to happen as normal. We did extend one bond for the Ridge Phase 2 for another 6 months, just to allow them a little bit of time to coordinate some work with some of the storm type events that we've been having. But other than that, no change. Of course, as you look at it, you will note that we are steadily running out of lots in Laverne, so just something to be aware of.
The list is getting short.
It is exceedingly short.
So, very good. Any other questions or comments from the board? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.